Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to kind of come on here this evening and kind of talk about a few things. Um, just kind of a lot going on, with life in general. Everyone's going through this period of, uncertainty and wanting to find that sense of normal again and some different things. So I thought tonight I would just kind of get on, kind of talk about some things just to kind of help maybe someone out there who's kind of in a rut, or if you're stuck or something of that nature, if this is helpful for you, which I hope it is. I'm going to talk a little bit, first of all, about my fundraiser that I have been doing for about 2 weeks now, almost. I think it's about 2 weeks or so, roughly. Um, I started that not as, I don't want to put this out there to, really push it upon folks. I know we're all going through, our own difficult times, and everybody has their own situation. But I started that as kind of a way to kind of start working towards that goal. As I've mentioned before, I'm trying to find that sense of independence. Independence has always been a big thing for me. From day one, from the ground up, so to speak, um, I've been taught to be self sufficient. And being self sufficient can be looked at through a number of different varieties and angles and so forth. Um, Working towards getting my hand controls is a very big goal, as I've mentioned before. That is something I probably should have done quite some time ago. But me having the mindset that I do, I wanted to do everything just the normal way, just like anyone else. Of course, I think nowadays normal is a fairly vague term, if you will. It can vary from person to person. I'll kind of start with this. My version or meaning of independence is a sense of being able to do things on my own. That central meaning of self sufficiency. I've been very strong through a number of different obstacles in my life, starting from the ground up, dealing with my medical condition. Um, my medical condition started when I was born. For those of you who may not know, cerebral palsy is a condition that can be very ill adverse, I believe is the correct terminology, depending upon the diagnosis at the time. When I was first diagnosed with my condition of cerebral palsy, I was told by medical experts and my own physicians that I would never walk, never sit up, never feed myself, dress myself, live any kind of an independent lifestyle. Well, little did I know at the time, I had become such an inspiration for those around me because they saw how I dealt with all those adversities and those obstacles, and I approached them one by one. We all have our own obstacles that we go through on a day to day basis. I get that. I'm no special prodigy, I'm no special figure, special entity, or anything of the sort, nor do I claim to be. Starting from physical therapy, I got myself to a point where I was doing most everything on my own, very limited um, modifications of any sort. And going back to that, just focusing on that point for just a moment, It started when I was a child. I was in a wheelchair for a very large portion of my childhood until about from birth to, I want to say, 5 or 6 years old. It was bound to a wheelchair, couldn't really function without it. Well, at some point along the way, some juncture of my life, I had determined that I didn't want anything to do with the wheelchair. I felt so limited and so stuck by having that wheelchair that it just clicked in my head one day, really. Excuse me. That I was going to overcome that. That was the first obstacle that I overturned. My first surgery when I was a child was when I was 4. I had a bilateral hamstring, a bilateral groin, and bilateral heel cord release. I was not expected to make it through the operation because medical experts had believed at the time that I still had other concerning complications going on. Well, obviously, I made it through the surgery, and I'm still here. So, yay me, victory point, right? As time went on from there, the next surgery that I had was when I was 6. I will not disclose my present age at this time. I am not going to put that much out there. Medical experts had believed that I would need the surgery every 2 to 3 years. Well, if this offers any kind of a starting point for anyone, it has now been 20 plus years and I have not had a surgery since I was 6. And I'm projected to not need another surgery in the foreseeable future. So keep the positivity going. Let's go in that direction. My next biggest thing was, when it came time, when I became old enough to understand what it was like to be around others, be in the public environment, be around my peers going through grade school and middle school and even through high school. My biggest component, my biggest mental block, if you will, was that I wanted to, quote unquote, fit in with the rest of my peers. And I, for the most part, did. There was some changes along the way. Some of them not until the later portion of my school years. I wish I would have changed before that. But as time went on, people started to really see me as an individual. And at that point, I felt like I could make it. I was always a little bit different, if you will, than those around me, which I was okay with. And, I just kind of started to build on that and realize that it was okay to make my own way. And, just creating that atmosphere of positivity and strength for those around me. That is a big term for me, is strength. And people tell me that I've shown a great deal of strength through my life, through all those different obstacles, and still continue to show a great deal of that to this day. So to know that I was a strength for someone else was really something for me to wrap my head around. Meaning that, People say I showed strength, that I was always positive, even in the face of adversity. And, it was a difficult thing for me to understand, because to me, I was no different than my classmates or my peers or anything. I was just an average person, run of the mill, living my life. I did what I had to do. And, I'm grateful to know that I was, a source of strength for a lot of folks. I think that is something in today's age that, people are not necessarily looking for. But if it's out there and there's someone out there that is willing to listen and to just be an ear, for people that may be struggling for whatever reason, I think is very important. And to add to that, I would also like to say that, if you are struggling with something, or if I can be an ear to listen, or, be of any sense of motivation for you, especially if you have cerebral palsy, let me know. Reach out to me. Let me know, what are some of the struggles you've dealt with. How have you handled certain situations, certain obstacles that you've went through? As I mentioned, I'll go back to my fundraiser for just a moment. My fundraiser is, of course, for my adaptive equipment, as many of you know. That is going to be a very monumental milestone for me. I have not been driving for about a year and a half now. I had some issues a couple years ago that some things have happened. I'm not going to disclose those due to personal reasons. Some things that had happened that I have since not been able to drive and be mobile in that sense because of some health concerns and different things. Driving, is also another point that I think a lot of folks, and even my partner, had told me, because at the time I had said, because of the issues that were going on, I said, you know what, I'm done with driving, just not going to do it anymore. He said, don't say that, because the moment you start saying that is going to be the moment that you are being hard on yourself. You're putting yourself down and saying, well, I can't do this anymore. I've never lived by that. Those two words have not been in my vocabulary, and they never will be in my vocabulary, because I was always taught that one of my teachers in school used to say, if there is a will, there is a way. And bless my teacher's soul, I would like to say, for instilling that in me, because to me that was one of the most monumental things that someone had ever said, and I never realized the context of what they were saying until, I started going through all these adventures of adulthood, which I have many years to go, of course. But I am learning. That's just another step in the way for me that I can add to that mindset of, yes, you can do this. You can overcome these obstacles, and you can achieve those goals and be just like everyone else. I, would hope that by doing this, I'm not seeking attention at all. I'm looking to make a difference for those folks that may have issues going on, that they may be afraid to, reach out for help. I know in my home community where I personally grew up, they've had some very, very sad, unfortunate events that have gone on these last few years, and I think that it just drives home the point of, generally we take life for granted. We take little things for granted, like, oh, why do today what I can put off until tomorrow? That really rings home a very true point, because when it comes to spending time with loved ones, or, if you have your own goals maybe that you're working through, take those day by day and make each day a point to reach that next step in reaching those goals. Strive for your goals and do what you have to do. It's not going to be always easy to accomplish those things. There may be setbacks, as there have been for me, many, many, many more than what I could even talk to about today, or any day for that matter. Those goals are within reach. You can do those things. If you put your mindset to say, hey, I can do this, I can reach these goals. If you got Joe Schmo or Susie Q next to you saying, well, you'll never do that, show him or her or them that, yes, I can do this, I am going to do this, this is not out of my reach, and I will accomplish this goal. Looking at me, like I was saying, if, I'm not doing this to be seeking attention, or, seeking those to feel sympathy, or, anything like that. I'm doing what I am doing. This is my own project that I started because I want to make a difference for those folks that are at a point where they feel like there is no point to turn, or there is no end goal, or they can't reach that goal or that milestone that they may be working for. Yes, you can. And as I said before, if there's something that you're feeling like there is no turn, or there is nothing left to gain, there is. And there are people out there that will support you, and that will give you that time of day, and that do believe in you, and will continue to believe in you. I want to be a focal point for someone else. If I can make a difference for one person, even just one person, even if it's just so much as watching this video, then for me, I know I'll have done something right. I want to make a difference for people. I've always had a passion for helping those around me. And if I can do that, even just making a difference for one person, then that's awesome for me. The last bit I'll say about the fundraiser and how that kind of, ties into everything. That is something that has made such tremendous progress for me already. And again, there is a description in the link, which I will put in the description box for all of you. Please feel free, if you'd like, to take a moment to look over the information. If you'd like to donate, that is absolutely welcome, absolutely fantastic. I welcome it. There is no pressure. I understand. Again, as I've said, these are challenging times for all of us. We're all going through our own struggles. But one thing that I do want to reiterate with all of this is that if there is something that you're struggling with, reach out, and do not be afraid to reach out and get, even if it's just a little bit of advice, or someone to say, give you that little extra bit of courage to say, yes, I can get through this. I might be struggling, but I can get through this. Even if it's me, if there's someone that watches this video at some point and, wants to reach out to me and even just have an ear to listen, please, I welcome it. I'm going to be doing some more videos. This is something that I want to start taking on a regular basis to kind of get started and building my own content so that I can, be a source of momentum for those. Especially with cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is, you know, a condition that is very, very not easy to deal with in a lot of situations. I will say for me that having cerebral palsy has left me kind of a sense of, at points, of where do I quote unquote fit in? What is my purpose? 3 years ago, I was very fortunate enough to meet my partner. My partner and I have been together for almost 3 years now, and it's been obviously ups and downs along the way. We've had many wonderful memories and some not so good memories, but they've all been an opportunity to build upon our relationship. To, in a sense, in some ways, we've had to go back to the drawing boards on a couple of things, so to speak, and we've had some of those opportunities as well. Maybe not the way we would have liked, but I also realize that in the end, there is a purpose to it all. Though I am not reaching this goal as quickly as I would have liked, or some other goals, I know that there's a purpose to it. And I know that when we do reach those goals, that, there will be a purpose, and I'll be able to understand and say, yes, it might have struggled, but I made it. My partner and I made it, and we did it. And we did it together, and we stayed strong within ourselves. And I'll say it again. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but I want to be a strong voice, a strong voice for others. And that source that others can say, wow, what he's saying is really making sense. And some people may not find it that way. Some people may watch this video and may laugh at it. That is totally fine. I pass no judgment. I will not pass any judgment. In return, I do ask that respect as well. However, to add to this, I will say that, if you want to reach out, or, if you need help with something, I am more than willing to step in, and I want to build, that network, those friendships, those acquaintances, near, far, it doesn't matter. I just want to know that I'm making a difference for someone else besides just me, my family, and myself. And if I do that, then I will know that I did something right. And I'll end the video by saying this, and it's one of my favorite sayings. I'm not going to say that I made it, because I may not have. If I did, great. But I like to think of living by the saying, strength conquers fear. Strength conquers fear. And I will continue to live by that. In closing, I just want to say, again, I'll be putting the link for the fundraiser, as I said, in the description box below for you guys. Please feel free to reach out if there is anything you need help with, or, maybe we can all help each other. And that's another thing I want to build on, is positivity, not just for myself, but for those around me. Again, in closing, I will put the link in the description box for you guys. Please feel free to donate if you can. If not, I do understand. Please feel free to share with others. If you happen to watch this video and you're feeling like you want to share it with other people as well, or if I made a difference, let me know. I do aim to keep doing these videos. This is a project, again, that I'm doing for myself. Even my partner doesn't know that I aim to make this a long-term goal, but obviously in the beginning it's a little tough because you're not quite sure how it's going to go. But again, I do want to say, strength conquers fear. And tell yourself, yes, I can do this, and yes, I will do this. Strength conquers fear. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.